Sodom and Gomorrah, the cities of the plain. The Bible gives their locations in Genesis 10:19. And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as thou comest to Gerar, unto Gaza, as thou goest unto Sodom and Gomorrah, and Admah, and Zeboim, even unto Lasha. A prevailing view is that they were all located together at the southern end of the Dead Sea, but it seems logical that the cities were to be located at some distance from each other to all be included in this biblical description of the borders of Canaan. Ron Wyatt never planned to search for these cities, but in 1989 he was impressed to stop and examine these odd-shaped whitish formations along the western shore of the Dead Sea.
I drove back and forth through there many times. You have to go past there to get to Kadesh. You have to go past there to get to the Red Sea crossing site. And I did stop and show my workers, my two sons and whoever else was helping us, this ash, because the road went right through the middle of it down at the Zoar area. And, I showed them this soft stuff. I said, this is bound to be what's left of those cities.
He and his crew closely examined these desolate areas. Taking samples of the material, they discovered it broke right off in their hands, disintegrating into dust, the consistency of talcum powder. As we approached the first location, we could easily see the shapes Ron had described. As no roads led into these areas, we pulled our car off the road and began the long, difficult hike. There was no doubt that these areas were unique to the immediate surrounding area. It was very difficult to walk here, for the loose material made walking very tiresome. Following what clearly looked like the shape of an outer wall, we soon saw the most breathtaking sight. The wall had ended, and we were now looking down into what appeared to be the entrance into a city. But before we entered, our interest was captivated by a most unusual find. About 100 yards from the entrance, upon a high level, was a singular shape. As we viewed it from all angles, we all agreed that it plainly bore the shape of a sphinx. We later found more of these sphinx shapes. Many ancient cities have been found with these animal-shaped statues guarding their entrances. As we entered the open section, we soon found ourselves walking along very distinctive paths, which communicated with one another just as our streets do today. As we approached what appeared to be a dead end, we found the street turned to the right and continued along until it met with another street. There was distinct order here. These were clearly once streets, and along these streets were the shapes of buildings. Even to our untrained eye, the evidence was undeniable. Our research had yielded the fascinating fact that substances burned with sulfur or brimstone had a remaining ash that was heavier than the initial unburned substance. This answered our question as to why the ash of these cities had been able to remain all these 3,900 some odd years. The layering present in all the formations was another positive evidence that whatever these once were, they had been burned at temperatures exceeding 4,000 or 5,000 degrees. This layering effect was the result of thermal ionization. Whenever a substance is burned at extremely high temperatures, the ions of the various substances being burned attract and repel, distorting the flame. Ron drew our attention to features present here which simply do not occur naturally. He showed us a section which revealed a broken double wall which extended toward us at a perfect 90-degree angle. The site we were examining was located at the base of Masada, and we went to the top of Masada to view the area from there. As we took the cable car to the top, the view opened up beneath us, and it was breathtaking. We were all pretty convinced, but we also knew that there had to be more evidence than this to convince others. The next year, Ron returned. It had just rained, which was very fortuitous since the area only gets about a 1/4-inch rain every year. What he found on that trip provided the evidence he was looking for.
Okay, we're down at Sodom and Gomorrah still. Right in front of you see some unusual looking spots on this, shall we say, layer of ash. It's not stone, it's ash. Now we'll move in for a close-up of this. And you can see that they're kind of circular shaped places. Now what we have found, and we'll move in a little closer here, is that inside each of these is sulfur. That is, in most of them. Now the ones that do not have sulfur in them, and this one we just took a bunch of sulfur out and put it in our specimen bag. But the ones that don't have sulfur have a very black center where they have, where it's been very hot. So now we'll move in on this one where there is some sulfur still present, and back off just enough so you can see what we're up to here, and we'll go collect that sample in a bag. Before I started using this knife, it was very, very sharp. Okay, here this is, and we have collected some more, and it smells and tastes like sulfur, but we will have it analyzed to see for sure that is. What appears to have happened is that from somewhere sulfur, burning sulfur, landed at irregular intervals, as you can see them in the spots on this material here, and ignited the entire city. And of course, something that burns with sulfur burns very, very hot, and the resulting ash is heavier than the original materials that are part of the combustion process. Now the Bible tells us that it rained fire and brimstone upon the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Now what you see in front of you here is the results of large and small, well, varying sized chunks of sulfur, burning sulfur, that have hit. And what we find here is that God rained this burning sulfur down upon this city, and rain is a perfect description of it. It landed just in the pattern that rain would fall, and the stuff, of course, the accumulative heat of all of this upon the city set the entire thing ablaze. The flash point of every material there, metal, stone, of course the people, and everything burned, and this sulfur continued to burn, and it vitrified the material around it after it had burned it all up, sealed itself off from the oxygen, and then of course smothered itself out. And in each of these little crystalline capsules here is a varying size chunk of sulfur, and there are millions of these in these ashes that we have here. Now some of them we have cracked open so you can see the sulfur inside, and others we have left intact, but there are millions of these here. So this shows that God indeed rained fire and brimstone upon these cities. And if you'll look in your dictionary, under brimstone, you'll find that it is sulfur. Now we'll swing up to a spot where the pattern of this fire is evident on the stone, or where it used the term rain. If you'll notice, that is the pattern of those sulfur bombs, burning sulfur bombs that fell upon the city. So this is a spectacular proof of the reliability of the Word of God, and also that these are indeed the cities of the plains, or Sodom and Gomorrah. Now we'll also pan up to the pinnacle where this particular batch of material came down, and we'll sweep around the area so that you can see the ashen remains of this den of iniquity that was, well, this is either Sodom or Gomorrah that we're in here today. We're not sure which. Now here's one of these sulfur capsules that is embedded in this material. And if you look closely, you can see the large amount of sulfur right in the center of the darker ring. And that particular one has a large quantity of just pure sulfur.
When Ron returned from that 1990 trip, he took several of the samples to Galbraith Labs near Knoxville, Tennessee. The yellow balls in the center of the reddish rings proved to be over 95% sulfur, with traces of several other elements, all of which he was told would contribute to an extremely high temperature fire. When Ron asked them if they could perform a BTU test to determine the degree of heat this would give off, they told him that they couldn't because it would damage their stainless steel testing chamber.
Sodom and Gomorrah, the cities of the plains. In Jude we're told that they're an example of what will happen to the wicked, even the angels. And of course in Ezekiel 28, God tells Satan that he will be reduced to ashes upon the earth. And Malachi 4 tells us that the righteous shall tread upon the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of their feet. All that is left of the stones, the wood, the people, the animals, everything that was in Sodom and Gomorrah. So no one will ever find any archaeological remains of the cities of the plain other than these ashes. And friends, if we defy God's kind and merciful entreaty to come to Him and be saved and be renewed and forgiven, we will end up in exactly this condition, because the Word of God tells us so, and God says that He is the Lord. He changes not, neither does He alter the thing that has gone out of His lips.